morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is July 19th. I'll say it again. July 19th. Vendor. It's like we keep on every day. It seems like a new day in July. Yesterday was the 18th. Today's the 19th.
It's amazing
I'm
how
pretty
that
sure I
works.
know what's coming next. What's
What's
next?
coming next?
Yeah,
What's next?
I don't know. I
20th.
don't know that there's a point in looking too far ahead when we have Netflix and Tesla reporting this evening. I don't know that we should want to look ahead with these two battleground stocks, if you will. Very interesting.
Yeah, are you still
Very.
in the Netflix sucks camp? Out of curiosity. That's a tough one. It must be.
It's so. Here's the thing. It's a tough one because my overall opinion of them has not changed when it comes to their long term model. I also believe, okay, just bear with me on this, that the blow that they're getting against the other streamers, entertainment companies, I think it's extremely misplaced as far as how they're valuing Netflix up against their peers. I also believe that on the back end of this actors writer strike, that there is going to be a reckoning when it comes to these companies, and they're going to be forced to do some things that they didn't think that they were going to have to.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
so does the price says what it is, right?
Yep.
The price is that's how much it costs. So that's all that really matters. They feel like Netflix is best positioned to rule the world. That's fine. Um, I don't
Jesus.
necessarily agree, but I've been wildly proven wrong.
I just looked at this
Now,
thing pre-market here.
now
I'm crap.
tomorrow, if they beat and it fills that gap up there, and it's all frothy around 520, the odds of me opening up, a short position out to 2024 is extremely high.
Yeah.
Extremely high for me to do that. So long term, I still feel that Netflix is wildly overvalued. I don't believe that they're a growth stock, not anywhere close. But again, I've been proven wrong. So it's kind of like I have to acknowledge that at least from a price standpoint, I'm wrong. Their metrics, I could actually be right and still wrong on the price. So we'll see. We'll see when we get there on the stupid fucking Netflix. You got me on a tangent and my mind all messed up, and it's mind numbing to me how they have proven on two different cycles that they make more money when they don't produce anything. Their biggest rips have been when they can't spend money to produce the content that they're supposed to have. That shit's weird to me, but that's fine. COVID, and then most recently, they're not producing any content. They really have not done anything other than backlog titles and gone on a buying spree in foreign markets. That's all they've done over the last year.
For anybody listening, I'm
Anyway,
sorry I got him started on this. It's just been Netflix is kind of for those that don't know, Hell's kind of spent some time in the industry, knows a little bit about this stuff, so I like to get his opinions on it. But he does get a little heated when it comes to
Vendor, I'll send you the breakdown of the
these
contract
things.
dispute between the studios and you'll see what the sticking points are. And it's AI is like the shiny object that they're talking about, but they're going after streaming revs. That's what
Yeah.
they're going after, like, because they got hosed back in 0809, like absolutely hosed when the studio said, oh, we have no way to track what happens on the interwebs. It's like, ha ha ha.
Right.
It's it's like, yeah, jokes on who. Anyways, so let's get into some of the things. Inflation continues to cool off overseas. It's like the euro came in, the European CPI came in, Great Britain CPI came in. All of these came in over the previous marks, which is good. The tone from the central bankers are at least right now. I don't want to say it's dovish. It's just extraordinarily less hawkish than it was, let's say, even 2 weeks ago. As this data continues to pull back as far as inflationary pressures. I mentioned yesterday, I think it's a matter of time before, give it 2, 3 quarters, and we're talking about deflation all over again. Like, okay, so everybody gets a check just to live. Those conversations will creep up just because everything rolls in like this weird ass cycle. The little bit of data that was a little bit eye opening to me, building permits, housing starts. That's an ugly looking number up against expectations.
You know, that's
Um,
weird too, considering the flow that we've seen into home builders recently.
right. So I haven't looked at any home builders this morning to see if they're taking any type of a hit in relation to this data. But what we did learn during the pandemic was companies can make more by doing less. So if you're making less houses, you're creating more of a market for people to pay more for the houses that you're building. I think they call that supply and demand. I think that's what economics 101. That's like 8 minutes of the class that they go through that. I think that there's something to it, but this is an eye popping print. Maybe it's a one of those random prints are like, oh well, I don't know. Maybe they're gonna be like, well, weather impacted X, Y, and Z. Entirely possible. It's like the depths of hell out west, and it's a soggy marshland in the northeast. So it's like who knows when it comes to that. But that print, that data print, is not really in line with what we have been hearing in a lot of ways. So that's kind of the data that we've had. China this morning basically announced that they're going to do whatever it takes as far as pumping STEM into their companies. What's interesting about that, if you look at the Hang Seng on the daily, that thing is in an absolutely gorgeous falling wedge on the daily. It's really pretty on the hang. How it's kind of like made this slow little crawl down and is sitting right at a level of support. This news is coming out at the perfect time, and Baba has had a nice little pop so far pre-market. We've seen the Chinese flow pump in like absolute blind monkeys last week, and then it's cooled down. They've pulled back. Um, maybe there's something there, especially when we get articles like we did this morning, as far as maybe the Asian markets are the next leg up, as opposed to our markets. But Bender, you go back and you look at the S&P or the Nasdaq on a weekly chart, and you look how that thing is just motorboating. We're almost home, dude. We're almost back to all-time highs.
It ain't that far.
We're almost there. We're almost home. Almost.
Then what?
Then we'll get a headline as far as the monkeypox thing that violates Uranus, something like that, or just something weird will come out, I'm sure,
Sure.
for some shock and awe. Just the way it normally does, something to just kind of jolt the system a little bit. Maybe unemployment will start creeping up. But I am very, very excited about Tesla ER tonight for a number of reasons. I want to see how those margins are working, and I want to see how they themselves are accounting for all of these charging, the charging adaptations, if you will, or adoptions to their charging structure. I think it'll be. I
Yeah.
think Nissan announced this morning that they're going to be doing that. It's like how those. It's like that's almost like just randomly, Vendor. You wake up and it's like, wow, man. It's like overnight. There's like 8 different money trees that just popped out of nowhere. Um, Real curious how that kind of plays in when it comes to recurring res for them, and how they're going to go ahead and guide for that, if you will, moving forward. I think that's going to be a
I
very,
am
very
interested.
interesting.
I'm interested in that as well. Yeah.
So
Seeing all those
there's
different,
that.
yeah, all those different
No, go ahead,
manufacturers
man.
come out, seeing all the different manufacturers come out and say, okay, yeah, we're not going to try to do it ourselves. We're going to adopt
Hmm. Which makes
how
sense.
that
It's better for the
impacts Tesla
consumer.
revenue. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There
The
needs to
other
be a
thing,
standard. Go ahead.
how does that impact charge point? Because that ticker, that chart is kind of set there sideways for a minute. And I don't know if they're the alternative or if they're, what they are, but I think that's an interesting name to kind of in a chart to kind of peek at and watch flow for that charge point, because there's got to be something there. And if that's a chart there that you're pulling up, again, falling, this falling little channel up against some support in through here, haven't seen a lot of flow on it, but it's like if everything is moving to this other platform, if you will, everybody's pushing that. I don't know how that impacts charge points long term. I don't know where they are with that, but that's the one ticker that kind of pops out that's been like, okay, something's different here. But for the most part, man, that's really all I have this morning. I'll flip it to you and you can start running some charts for us and we'll go from there.
All right. Sounds good. Well, here's the ES chart. I'll zoom out to the daily real quick. We still have this, longer term parallel channel that I drew a while back. We're kind of right up in the top of that. Another number that I want to throw out there to keep an eye on is this 1618 extension up here at 4642.25. That extension, you can see, let me zoom out some more. You can see drawn from this low. I think I drew this on a weekly, but let's do like that. Here we go. That adjusts it up to 4702. So this low to this high here, you can see these pullbacks here about the 50% level, puts that 1618 extension up here in this 4700 area. Going to back down to a 60-minute, you can see that we have this channel here that has formed, right? You had trend line, move that, there you go. 3 taps here, forming that trend line. Make a parallel channel out of that to these highs. And this is that, near that channel top here, that purple line. This area in here is going to be tricky, but, we're in a bullish phase. And if it pops that, then we're sniffing 4650 and then that 1618 up of 4702. So that's kind of bigger picture. But I think it's important. And I don't know that anybody doesn't know that we're up against this top, right? I think it's probably been thrown around just about everywhere you look. So keep that in mind. If I zoom in,
so are you saying that no matter where you go, you see the same hoe?
Every little city I know. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we've got the London session high up here, 4592.75. Asia session low down here, 4582. If I zoom into a 15-minute, you can kind of see in here this fair value gap that is currently acting as resistance, kind of right up. This right here, 4589 is kind of the level right in here to watch. If that becomes resistance, if we find ourselves below that 4589 and that becomes resistance, then I'd look to that Asia session low. Let me get rid of this shaded box here. This is a daily fair value gap that, again, going back to the daily so you know where this comes from, you can see this is kind of what we've left behind here on the daily so far. So that's why I have that shaded box there. I know that if we do start pulling into this, that, it may want to fill down to that 45, 65, 70, 45, 65, and 75 cents. That's where that comes from. So going back to a 15-minute, you can see this is that kind of shaded area. In the near term, if we find ourselves below this 45.84.75. Again, probably take out the Asia session low, 45.82 half. Right now, I'm watching this 15-minute fair value gap, see if that's going to act as support. Make that stand out a little bit more here. That's kind of the area to watch, right? If it gets below that, then you can see it come down and test this trend line here, which, you know, we saw yesterday. We busted through it. We came back. We got the retest and then fire. So we could see us coming back and testing that. And then come back here. You can see this trend line right here forming. You got two taps on it right here. And it's kind of putting us in this. You can see how it tightens up right up in here. So I think, you know, the big picture here is that we're up against, you know, the top of this channel, and we've got this trend line support down here lower. A pop above can send us up there. Mm-hmm. And if we break that Asia session low, we probably retest this again, test this trend line, and that's going to be the big one. If we break that, we'll probably get a liquidation break. Right. May pull down in here, 45.50 or so. That's about it.
All right, very nice. Sonny, what you got, bud?
Good morning, everyone. Pretty light on the news cycle, but that you already covered. Nissan's gonna start using the Tesla recharging starting 2025 in the US, and AT&T Wall Street Journal thinks the sell-off has overdone that cable.
Well, considering that they're back to like, you know, valuations like 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah, you might want to say that.
Salesforce, following Microsoft lead from yesterday, introducing pricing for their AI. Salesforce unveiled their pricing on their GPTs for the sales and generative AI was $50 a month. It got a little. AMD got some action.
Hey, Sonny, I think you got to get. Sonny, I think you got to get closer to your mic. Like, you know what you do on Thursday nights? Like, get all the way up on it. Just not
deep throat,
but just
deep throat.
Is this any better?
Yes.
Actually, yeah. Wow. Wow. Ladies,
he
control
is
yourself. Delta, control yourself.
Continue.
Yes. So AMD got a little pop this morning. News just came out that some cloud service providers are looking for the AMD's MI300 series GPUs as an alternate to NVIDIA's H100s, which are in very short supply, and they're selling in the black market in China for triple the amount, going for like $30,000-$40,000. So definitely keeping an eye on that. Microsoft got price target updates across the board, pretty much close to $400, $390, $420, $405. And ServiceNow, NOW, also got the price target update, upgrades to 650, between 650 and 700 by TD Cowen, BofA, and Barclays. Upgrades, Blue. This is the bio name. We've seen activity in that before. So what for Flow? It moves nicely off of Flow. Cisco got an upgrade. At the same time, they downgraded Calm. So we've seen a bunch of Flow come into Calm yesterday. And Juniper, they downgraded both of those. INTU, NBR, Snow are the other upgrades. And on the downgrade side, CNK, Joby, they had news yesterday like, flying taxis are cool, but that's not going to happen till like 2028 maybe. Open, QS, and Redfin. So housing stuff, Open and Redfin got downgrades. Pretty light on the news cycle. I think everybody's just switching waiting on the ER and data set tomorrow, and Friday the job numbers. So if I hear anything, I'll shout it out. But that's all for me for now.
Right on. Thank you, Sonny. What you got there, Stonk?
All right, I'm here. I'm ready. Let's. Oh, we want this one. Let's get some charts going here. We can start on the Nasdaq. Here we go. So similar to what Bender was showing here on the ES, here's our Nasdaq daily fair value gap from where we're starting out. But if we jump over to, we'll look at the 1 hour, you can see this gap has room all the way down to here on the Nasdaq. That line right there. Let's see. Yeah. So that's kind of, if we were downside targets, we've got room down to here. We've also got a 4 hour fair value gap just below. If we were to continue to push to the upside, I mentioned this upside target yesterday. That's going to be that 07725. There's our higher day from yesterday, so that's open. So that's what I'll be kind of looking for here on the Nasdaq. First downside target would be the bottom of the daily fair value gap, and then it has room down to this 80150. We do have alert set. Before I get further and forget, we've got some smash burgers, and these alerts will pop in the room. Basically, again, failed breakout. We closed above the prior day's high, so if we broke yesterday's low, that could be a short entry, and we'll get alerts that pop in the room, and that is on the SPY as well. So, and then your stop would be yesterday's high. Entry would be the break below yesterday's low. So we got that going for us. That'll pop in the room. And then if we jump over to the Russell, so this was a big channel that it broke out of to the upside that I had on the Russell. So pop that trend line. We've got this daily order block line that now I'll be looking for this to work as support. We already crossed it to the upside, and we had a little fair value gap here that just filled in. So this is with this being an hourly fair value gap, we've got this candle just got going. So in an hour or 45 minutes, top of the hour, if this candle closes above 1989.60, I'd be looking for pullbacks in this area for continued upside. If we break down, we've got this big fair value gap here, probably even room down to this one. Then I'll be looking, this will be our we first see the reaction to that 1980.40, and then we've got room down to 1964 there. Be on the Russell. We jump over to the individual tickers. I did have AMD on the list for today based on this inside bar, so I've updated what I would be looking at a bit here. So new call trigger would just be 121.90, basically where we stalled out on the pop pre-market, which has been an important line in the past. So be looking for us to break above and hold that. Below, I would probably just use this dark pool there, 120.08. Dark pool's been pretty quiet on AMD lately, so that could get a reaction. Otherwise, below we probably have this 118.75 area, and then the original put trigger was down there at 116.60. Other one I had on the list for today was Apple. Apple was kind of muted yesterday as Microsoft kind of led the charge. So no adjustments needed here to the Apple triggers. Just going to be watching this dark pool above 193.97, and then below 192.95. You can see it's been an important line in the past. Just going to kind of see what we get. There was some not a ton of flow on Apple yesterday as Microsoft was kind of the leader, but there wasn't definitely anything that stood out bearish. I think that's all I got for today.
All right, very good. So, Stone, your smash burger over there. Wait, let's take the Nasdaq in particular that you're looking at. If you wouldn't mind switching back to it, walk us through a little bit of that on what you would be looking for.
All right, yeah. So again, smash burger is the Larry Williams setup that he back tested the heck out of. Which is basically a failed breakout. So meaning when we close outside the prior day's range, you look for a break in the other direction. So here's an example. We closed above the prior day's high, so you'd short this low. Nice one. Let's see. We closed below the prior day's low, so you'd buy the breakout above. So you buy that level. So if we go back here, here's the beginning of today. So yesterday's price action close was above prior day's high. So we just take our entry would be the break below that low right there. And your stop would be at the prior day's high. So yeah, basically you're just thinking failed breakout. When we close outside the prior day's range, you just take the other side of the trade, basically.
And what time frame are you using to do that? An hourly?
I use
15
them on
minute?
the daily.
Like as far as get.
Yeah. On the
Okay.
daily, but yeah, I mean, you could probably drill it down, but I've only been setting them on the daily. The alerts we've been getting in the room have been all from the daily, and they've been working pretty good when they pop
Awesome.
up.
Very good. Thank you, Stonkington. All right, so let's tap into a little bit of flow. Microsoft yesterday was the one that they were just pounding. We still have a lot of 480 calls sitting out there on NVIDIA. There were a couple of BABA 95s that were smacking in on weeklies for this week with that news that you could get that run up and in there. Some other flow. It's like Carvana is going to be interesting to see the price action off of that. We know that they were hitting those 50 calls. A couple of weeks ago, they got their nut there. So let's see how that plays out. At the same time, what that flow is post, reporting, post everything else. I think semis are going to be interesting to look at. We talked about NVIDIA, but I'm more curious about some of the others. Intel has gotten some really nice flow out to November and then January. I think that's another one to look at. Vendor's been pretty high. SMCI, the great takeover there, has gotten some nice upside flow. And again, it's moving to the upside. So that sector continues to be strong. The flow continues to support these, I don't want to say parabolic, but damn near parabolic charts. And until that changes, until we get that switch, we have to continue to lean that way. Transports, I'm going to be looking at that flow also today to see how that kind of looks and how that landscape is being shaped post JB Hunt reporting yesterday. Those numbers were not all that great on JB Hunt by any means. They just weren't. I don't know what they said on their call or what they did on their call. I have no idea, but the numbers were not all that fantastic. So watching transports today could be very, very helpful if you're looking for any type of cracks in the armor, any type of signs out there. What we do know is that banks are reporting just well enough to maintain a strong sector over there and to build out a base and to build out a bottom. We do know that. There have not been any massive surprises to the downside on banks thus far. But now we get to get into tech. Now we get to get into some of these bigger S&P and NASDAQ earnings. So we'll see. That's all I got, fellas. You guys have anything else?
There's your KRE chart. I am long KRE.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got. I've heard from some folks in the industry that, at least specific to a few of the regionals, that they're fine. Not necessarily all of them, but that was part of the reason that I went long KRE. Is I think there's a lot of folks waiting to hear what comes out of all of this, but I'm also hearing that they're fine.
Yeah, it's like the death and destruction has already taken place, and I think that's you can see it in the chart. It's like there it is.
Yep,
death and destruction already there. So and then when the Fed says, offers a 1-800 cash call line, it's like I guess that's it. The whole sector is too dumb to fail. Is that what it is? Is that what we say? What we call it?
I don't think that's it, but sure. I haven't heard that one.
Anyways, well, how many banks have been saved through the years? So there's something to it.
I'm not saying we shouldn't start using it. I'm just historically it's too big to fail, but too dumb to fail. I haven't heard that one. It's a new one.
Too dumb to fail.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
All right.
We got about 9 minutes and some change until open. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks again.
See ya.
No, Bender, Bitcoin. What are
Uh-huh.
we doing here at this 30,000 line?
Let's see.
I don't think we covered that
Chart.
this morning. It's more of a curiosity. That dude's a
Here you
weirdo
go.
over there, man.
Still doing the same thing. Hadn't really moved.
Doing the
a whole
dopey
lot.
Google.
Yeah. I mean, if it breaks, 29.325.78 and gets some momentum, you could see it pulling back, filling some of this in. But as long as this continues to hold, I think we get another break over, say 30,005. What is that? 30,522, kind of right in there. Then that sets up, I think, for it to break higher. But we will see. Right now, it's still consolidating in here. It may break. But it's hard to do anything with it in here between 29 and 31 or 32. Kind of got to see what the.
So
If you look at these daily candles, it's like, you buy it down here and you sell it up here, right? You buy it at 29 and sell it at 31. That's not really enough range for me. I want to see that next break.
that break over 31 and hold, I'm assuming that's what you're looking for.
Break over 31 and hold, or come down into this, 27, 28 range and offer another nice entry
ripper.
long. Yeah.
So I want to go back to JB Hunt a little bit, their report yesterday, and Total was nice enough to post some comments in here. Executive, we are in a freight recession, thus we are hesitant to suggest any green shoots. Volume declined 4% year over year, which was at least Q2 improving comparison. It's like those comments combined with some of the numbers that they threw out yesterday, and it's up $4 pre-market. That's the market that we're in.
Yeah, they buy it anyway.
Wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that a little bit kind of like, okay. Anyways, just to kind of set the tone for overall expectations, we can go back to that Home Depot ER to where they guided down, and I think they're up almost 15, 20 points off of that post and guide down. Again, this is the environment that we're in. All right, we went a little bit long. 6 minutes still open. We'll see you guys soon.
See you shortly.